Hey guys, this is Natasha with Homestead Realty, and today I am going to be interviewing my favorite lender. He's been in the business for 30 plus years. He is absolutely the best of the best, and he not only is knowledgeable, but he is just so quick. He gets things done. He makes sure that my clients understand. He picks up the phone on a Sunday night at 9 p.m. He picks up the phone on Christmas, on Thanksgiving, on Hanukkah, on anything. He is available, he is responsive, and he gets the job done. And that's what I love about Tom Halfpap with Town Bank. And he is amazing, so stay tuned. You could just, quickly introduce yourself and tell my viewers what exactly it is that you do.
My name's Tom Halfpap. I am a mortgage loan originator. I started in the mortgage business in January of 1987. I worked for a company called Waterfield Financial for 19 years. But the guy that I met there, we clicked, so it kind of all just fell into place. It just seemed like the right thing to do, and almost 31 years later, we're still doing it. So that's how I got started.
That's awesome. I actually wanted to do a monthly video, where we're covering, one for first-time home buyers and, one for the different types of loans that are available to you. And, with Tom really in detail going over it all and giving my viewers a great and a comprehensive understanding of how it really all works. So, I've seen the way he works, and he is, like I said before, he's just so on top of it. He makes sure it gets done, and it gets done correctly the first time. Do you know what I mean? It's hard to find that.
Well, it's important. It's
it
important to get it done
important.
quick and get it done. I don't like things hanging around the last minute.
Yeah, no, definitely, it's important. So have you always been good with numbers? Are you?
Yeah, I've always enjoyed math.
Okay.
As in school, it was calculus and trig. I love trig, actually. So all those things I was enamored with for whatever strange reason. But I think that's more difficult than what I do. But,
Definitely. No, definitely. What you do is very hard. It's a lot of work. So I wanted to ask what originally got you started in the business, and at what point was it when you thought to get into this business?
Well, the guidance or advice from my father and stepfather, and then it's not an easy one to break, because you have to know a lot of guidelines and details, and of course that takes time to develop that. And I always say experience is what teaches you. That's
Definitely.
the best thing. It took me a good just about 2 years to get established. It was very, very, like within 2 months things just started happening. So I do enjoy the business. I enjoy working with people. I enjoy challenges.
Yeah.
There's one thing for sure, every loan, which is a person or family, is unique to every other loan.
Right.
No two things are the same.
They're not the same.
And I'm always learning, which I do appreciate that. And programs are always changing. So it's a matter of always constantly staying on top of it.
Well, you definitely, Tom does an amazing job with staying on top of things. He is quick, he's efficient, he is responsive. I can go on and on. He's very, very good at what he does. So,
thank you.
No, really, which is also what what steered me towards making this video, because I want to just share that with some people that are struggling to find a good lender.
Everything's internet based.
Yeah.
And all goods and services, for the most part, people will shop internet first, and pre-approvals are like a dime a dozen. But the relationship that you develop with, say, I work with you again and again.
Right.
Our whole thing is I'm part of your package when you're working with somebody. So that you have control over the situation, that you will get it done. If I say it gets done, it happens.
Right.
Not necessarily the case, and not to say anything against anybody else, but on an internet basis, I mean, it's all about volume and getting business in the door. And sure, you can get a credit score and quickly summarize a pre-approval, but does it really fit the person that you're working with? I'd like to get everybody in with the least amount of money out of pocket if we can.
Right.
But it doesn't happen. I'm realistic, and this is what we can do, and then just present the options. So it's the personal relationship. I mean, that I don't think will ever change. It's much more difficult now because what I see is when people come in pre-approvals, and a majority agents will just, they don't want to rock the boat and they want to go with it, and then if there's a problem, which usually happens right before the closing, well, that happen before closing. That's what's stressful to everybody involved. You, the buyer, the person, the seller, which your buyer is purchasing your home. Everybody's moving. The domino effect, as I call it, and you want to avoid that at all.
So, how did you end up with FitzGerald, the FitzGerald Financial Group?
Well, Danny FitzGerald, I met him on my, I had a boat at the time. He had a marina off the Potomac River, and he was behind the bar. He owned the place. I had no idea he was a mortgage guy, and I found out he was huge with Chase for many, many years, owned his own division. It was funny. We just exchanged information, and within a few months, I went to his office in Rockville, met with him. He really, really looked at the business like I did, and still does, and gives me a lot of ability here, which we're connected with Town Bank. So when people hear FitzGerald, they may not really think the name is familiar in the business, but Town Bank is well known. That's our bank that backs us. And we're set up in a correspondent relationship. We have 21 major investors, which would be like Wells Fargo, BB&T, M&T. Things you may not have heard of, like Redwood, they're a jumbo investor. Eagle Bank, they're a jumbo investor. So we have a whole slew of investors we can work with. So that, depending on the type of mortgage you're doing, I can automatically, first of all, shop for the best rate. Shop for me and my loan officers in this area, we were pretty well known, because once you establish a reputation, you do a good job. That spreads. So when they went and they sold, it was, like I said, very difficult. So I pretty much with FitzGerald had started the whole thing over again, because people knew me, but didn't really necessarily know the name. And we've been there 8 years now. So I still enjoy working here because of my ability. Danny is his name, Daniel FitzGerald. Call him Danny. I can pick up the phone anytime. As a matter of fact, I called him on the way here. So I can pick up if I need some help, if I need an underwriter to look at a loan, if I need to move something up. So he knows we're on the same page.
Of all the different things that you do in your job, what is your favorite part about the job? I know it's hard, I know it's very complex. But.
So at the end of the day, what my favorite part is when I let them know that the loan's approved and we're ready to close. I mean, that's the best part. I like the one, the closing, but but when I finally get that out there to all parties, it's always I feel like I hit the finish line.
No, definitely, I would agree with that. And for those that are watching, so what is the one piece of advice that you would give to first-time home buyers?
Well, it's important to have some savings. Reserves, basically it's what money is in the bank left over after the transaction, is an important thing. Don't go crazy on debt. I mean, obviously most people need a car loan and maybe a credit card or two, but you don't, the debt ratio has been a problem in a lot of cases, so you want to have manageable debt. So those and paying your bills on time. I mean, credit score is actually probably the first and foremost, because if the score is too low, you can't do anything no matter what I tried. Then we go back to my example of working with building the credit, so you get the score workable. But a loan is 3 components. You've got debt to income ratio, you've got assets to close, and you've got credit. You've got to have all 3 for the loan to work. So those are the 3 factors for not just a first-time home buyer, but anybody looking to buy a home. Even if people currently own a home, and if you have a couple late mortgage payments in the last 12 months, you can't get a loan. So that type of thing is such really, really important to keep the credit.
So would you say just to be consistent with payments, and would you say consistency is like number one?
Yes, I think that and you really want to work at, have some sort of savings.
Okay.
Or even a retirement account. That's a forced savings plan in a lot of places,
Okay.
but you do want to utilize that.
Okay.
Because that's looked at. It's looked at as a reserve. I always add that to a loan where I have minimal assets, and it does make a difference between making or not making the loan.
Okay. Okay. So what I wanted to also just chime in and say, there's just like a few reasons as to why I work with Tom. So the amount of knowledge that he has in this industry, I've seen it's really rare, and it's not found in many other lenders. He continually, he always brings value to the table by not only teaching me, but he's also educating my clients. So, you make the transaction not only smooth for me as the agent, but smooth for my clients. If there's something that they don't understand, Tom will call them, and he's honest. Like I said, from the beginning, he will say, unfortunately, it's just not going to happen right now.
Right.
Or you will say, this is how we need to go about it, and you will go over it in detail. And what I also like about working with him is that there will not be any surprises along the way. Day one, he will tell you that this is how it's going to have to be. We're going to have to do a, FHA loan, and then this is their budget. He'll go over everything on day one, and, not leaving any surprises until like the 11th hour. So, things don't start falling apart. I really love that about Tom. I also think that it's really important to, like you said before, have that relationship with a client, because so many different banks, like Bank of America, for example, you'll call and you're gonna have to be put on hold for 30 minutes, and you're calling a call center.
Well, that's you hit it on the head. You're calling somebody who's not licensed, so
Right.
So their job is just to keep you, in the game. In other words,
Exactly.
they make you comfortable. Everything's, and you. So I've heard this from many people, and usually it's the rescue loans I hear it from, but they start with some entity, and it always starts out collecting information, which is what everybody does. Is how you get it, who's doing
Right.
it. But most of the time, on an internet lender.
Number one thing I absolutely love and think is important, not just to me, but to my clients, is Tom will answer the phone on a Sunday night at 9 p.m., on Christmas Day, on Thanksgiving. When I'm working with a client, my client will have Tom's cell phone number. So I think that's important. I think that's a big deal to have your lender's cell phone number, and to be able to call him, email him, text him, not having to wait 3 days before they get back to you. So I just wanted to say a quick story about the situation that I was in. I was in a situation with this gentleman, and his lender was all the way in Arizona. We had different time zones, and we were never able to get a hold of him. And it was unfortunate because I tried to get him to work with Tom, but he didn't, which is fine. And but it was unfortunate because we were running and coming up against so many issues in the transaction, and I had no choice but to call Tom, because you would answer the phone. And it's like he said, when you're online and you're looking for a lender, it's hard to find one that is going to be upfront and honest with you.
Well, you don't know.
Well, you just don't know who you're talking to.
You know me because you have experience working with me.
That's true.
So people don't know when they start out.
Yeah, no, you're
right.
right.
And pre-approval letters are really issued without a whole lot of scrutiny,
Right.
unfortunately. But and legally, they state there's legal verbiage. It states provided the information, and it can be provided, but it hasn't been looked at properly.
Oh my gosh.
That's the difference.
That's scary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Tom, thank you so much for doing this with me.
No,
and
totally a pleasure.
I hope this will be helpful to people that are watching, and I will be doing another video with Tom hopefully in the next month or so. But yeah, I'm going to be posting this on my YouTube channel, and underneath the link below I am going to put the link for Tom's website as well, in case you want to reach out to him. I'm also going to share, I'm going to share it on Facebook and social media and whatnot. And he is really amazing. If you have any questions regarding a loan, or if you're struggling with credit, if you need guidance, I highly suggest you call him, and I am sure you will not be disappointed. So,
well, thank you. Thanks.
Yep. Thank you, Tom.
All right, you're more than welcome.
All right. Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that Tom could give you guys some great insight. Like I said, I really wanted this video to be an initial video, just so that he can introduce himself, and I do plan on doing more videos with Tom. One of them could be for first-time home buyers. I do like to get into a lot of detail with the pros and cons of being a first-time home buyer, or what is the difference between an FHA loan and a conventional loan. What is a VA loan? How are you eligible for a VA loan? What are the pros and cons of taking advantage of first-time home buyer programs? I also want to go over a few other things, like what are closing costs, what are the different types of down payment assistance programs that there are. So just really diving into the financials of purchasing a home. And I think that obviously Tom can give you guys a whole lot more insight and really educate you guys on the overall numbers aspect of how it really all works, because at the end of the day, like he said, it is a numbers game. And I want to relay it over to everybody else who is looking to buy a house, or whether it's the beginning of your search or the midways of your search, whatever. It's definitely great content, and I think it's good for everybody to know, coming from someone that's been in the business for 30 plus years. So like I said, Tom has not only helped me learn immensely, but he's also bringing value to the table with my clients all the time. So I think it's really important, especially when you're purchasing a first home as a first-time buyer. If it's your first time buying a house, it doesn't matter, even if it's your second time buying a house, you can never learn enough. And like he said, the financial world is constantly changing. So it's good to, get some sort of insight from him, whereas he's, dealing with these situations every single day. And at the end of the day, it is a numbers game. So I will put his information below, and if you guys have any questions, or if there's like a specific topic that you prefer to know about, or for us to include in one of our videos, just feel free to direct message me, text me, call me, whatever works best for you. And hope this video has been super duper helpful, and thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.